Kings of a prehistoric planet. The Cambrian period is a wet time in the history of life on Earth. This period is known as the time of the so-called Cambrian explosion. It is a time of rapid appearance and diversity of many major groups of animals. Here are some of the dominant animals of this period, the kings of the Cambrian period. Trilobites. Trilobites were some of the most common and diverse marine arthropods in the Cambrian seas. These organisms were predators and scavengers. Smaller organisms became the prey of these animals, and so trilobites may well be considered the kings of the Cambrian period. Archaeocyaths. Archaeocyaths were ancient sponges with monolithic skeletons similar to modern corals. They played an important role in reef formation, creating complex reef structures that provided shelter for many other organisms. These were the gray cardinals of the time, a seemingly inconspicuous creature, but it was the one that played the first role in the Cambrian royal court. Arthropods. Anomalocaris. Anomalocaris were large predatory arthropods, such as Anomalocaris, reaching lengths of up to 1 meter. They had large anterior appendages for grasping prey and a round mouth-like structure. These animals were one of the largest and most efficient predators of the Cambrian seas. And by the way, they hunted trilobites. The irony of the ancient world. Conodonts are interesting creatures. Conodonts were small, tooth-like elements, presumably belonging to primitive chordates. They were probably part of the food chain, being both predators and prey. They certainly couldn't be called kings. Giant shrimp. Herdia and giant shrimp like them were large arthropods that preyed on small marine animals. They were predators that played a key role in controlling populations of other organisms. The Cambrian period was a time of exceptional biodiversity and innovation, when many modern types of animals first appeared in the fossil record. These organisms formed complex ecosystems that laid the foundations for the later evolution of life on Earth. After the Cambrian period, the Ordovician period began, which is characterized by a significant development of marine ecosystems and a further increase in the diversity of life. This period was dominated by different groups of marine organisms. Trilobites were important inhabitants of the seafloor, feeding on small organisms and performing the filtration process. Brachiopods. Brachiopods were also filter feeders, attaching themselves to the substrate and filtering plankton from the water. Graptolites. Graptolites were colonial organisms living in tube-like structures and swam in water columns. Graptolites were important planktonic organisms, and their fossil remains are widely used for stratigraphy of Ordovician deposits. Corals. The first reef-building corals, such as tabulata, began to appear in the Ordovician seas. They played an important role in building reefs and creating complex marine ecosystems, providing shelter for a variety of other organisms. Nautiloids. Nautiloids were a group of cephalopod mollusks with straight and spiral shells. They were active predators and dominated the upper tiers of food chains. The bivalves, bivalvia, were diverse and included forms that lived both on the bottom and burrowed into the sediment. They were important filter feeders and occupied a variety of ecological niches. Echinoderms. Crinoids were echinoderms that attached themselves to the bottom of the stem and had long pinnate arms. They were also filter feeders, catching food particles from the water. Ophiuroids or snaketails. Snaketails were mobile, echinoderms with flexible arms and used them to grasp food. They played a variety of ecological roles from detritivores to active predators. But conodonts were small marine animals with tooth-like elements used for feeding. Conodonts were very important parts of the food chain and are key fossils for stratigraphy. Marine arthropods. Various arthropods, such as the ancient spiders and early marine scorpions Euopteridae, were diverse and adaptive. They occupied a variety of ecological niches from predators to scavengers. Ecdysozoa. Ecdysozoa, such as artocyrates, long straight nautilus food, reached large sizes and were active predators. They dominated the upper tiers of food chains. The Ordovician period was characterized by an increase in marine biodiversity and ecosystem complexity. Many animal groups appeared during this period, which became the basis for further evolution of marine ecosystems. Silurian period. The Silurian period was a time of significant evolutionary change and further development of life on Earth. This period was dominated by various groups of animals that lived in both marine and coastal ecosystems. Nautiloids continued to thrive, representing a group of cephalopod mollusks with straight or spiral shells. Bivalves were diverse and included forms living both on the bottom and burrowing into the sediment. Crenoids, echinoderms with long pinnate arms, were important filter feeders, catching food particles from the water. Trilobites remained an important and diverse group of marine arthropods, although their numbers and diversity began to decline from previous periods. Two-finned brachiopods continued to thrive and remained important components of marine ecosystems. They were efficient filter feeders and occupied coastal and shelf areas. Graptolites remained important planktonic organisms living in colonies and played an important role in marine ecosystems. The first jawed fishes, acanthodes or spiny fishes, were among the first jawed fishes to have distinctive spines and scales. They were important predators and played a significant role in the development of fish ecosystems. Placoid fishes, such as members of the early cartilaginous fish group, began to evolve during this period. They occupied a variety of ecological niches, including predation and filter feeding. Rhacoscorpiones or Europridites reached large sizes and were some of the largest predators of the Silurian seas. Their goal is to control populations of other marine organisms. The Silurian period was a time of significant change and development of marine ecosystems dominated by diverse groups of animals. This period saw the colonization of land by the first terrestrial plants, which set the stage for the further development of the terrestrial biosphere. The Devonian period is known as the Age of Fish, because of the great diversity and dominance of different groups of fish. This period also saw important evolutionary changes, with the first vertebrates moving onto land and the development of terrestrial ecosystems. Shellfish or placoderms were the first vertebrates with jaws and had armored plates covering the front of the body. Dunkleosteus is one of the most famous placoderms, reaching lengths of up to 10 meters. Placoderms were some of the largest and most dominant predators of the Devonian seas, shovel-nose fishes or sarcopterygians. Shovel-nose fishes had muscular fins that resembled limbs. These included fish, such as Callichthys bivalves. These fish played an important role in ecosystems and were the ancestors of the first land vertebrates. Cartilaginous fishes, such as the early sharks, began to diversify and occupy different ecological niches. They were efficient predators and competed with other fish for food resources. Bony fishes like ray-finned fishes began to evolve and become more diverse. The Devonian period saw the first vertebrates come onto land. An example is Tiktaalik, which had characteristics of both fish and amphibians. These early tetrapods adapted to life in coastal and freshwater environments, becoming the ancestors of all terrestrial vertebrates. The jawless fishes or agnatha, although their dominance decreased from previous periods, jawless fishes such as various species of hagfish continued to exist. They occupied the niches of scavengers and filter feeders. Bivalves continued to be important filters in marine ecosystems. They cleansed the water of suspended particles and served as food for many predators. Ammonites began to become more diverse and were the ancestors of modern cephalopods. Nautiloids such as artosaurids continued to thrive. Echinoderms such as crenoids, sea lilies and figuroids, snaketails, and sea urchins thrived in the Devonian seas. They filtered water and recycled organic material. Arthropods, Rhacoscorpions or Europridites, reached large sizes and continued to be important predators in coastal and freshwater ecosystems. They played a key role in controlling populations of other organisms. The first terrestrial arthropods, such as millipedes or early spiders, began to colonize land. They were involved in the decomposition of organic material and played an important role in the formation of the first soils. The Devonian period was a time of significant evolutionary changes that laid the foundations for the subsequent development of terrestrial ecosystems. During this period, fish reached maximum diversity and dominance in the seas, and the first vertebrates began to move onto land, which was an important milestone in the evolution of life on Earth. The Carboniferous period is characterized by significant changes in the evolution of animals and plants. During this period, different groups of animals dominated both marine and terrestrial ecosystems. The main features were the extensive forests, which later became coal deposits, and the high oxygen content of the atmosphere. the development of giant insects and other invertebrates. Giant insects. Meganeura, an insect similar to the modern dragonfly, with a wingspan of up to 70 centimeters. It is one of the largest known flying insects. Orthoptera. The ancestors of modern direct-winged insects such as grasshoppers and crickets reached considerable size. Spiders, large spiders and scorpions such as Pulmonoscorpius reached sizes up to 70 centimeters. Myriapods. One of the largest known arthropods reaching lengths of up to 2.5 meters. This giant, many-legged creature lived in forests and fed on plant material. Amphibians. Eugeraria is one of the largest representatives of labyrinthodonts, which resembled modern crocodiles. These semi-aquatic predators reached lengths of up to 4.5 meters. Megalosaurs, giant amphibians that lived in bodies of water and on shores. Early reptilia. Chelonimus, one of the first known land-dwelling reptiles. This small organism reached lengths of up to 20 centimeters and fed on insects and other small invertebrates. Paleosaurs. Early reptiles. That adapted to different ecological niches, from predators to herbivores. Marine animals. Foraminifera and radiolarians. Unicellular organisms with mineral skeletons that played an important role in marine ecosystems and sediment formation. Mollusks. Ammonites. Marine cephalopod mollusks with spiral shells that were important, predatory and plankton-eating organisms. Bialphias. Blastoid, crinoid-like echinoderms that were important components of marine ecosystems. Fish. Acanthodes, primitive jawed fishes that began to evolve and diversify. Placoid fishes. Cartilaginous fishes, such as early sharks, continued to thrive. Bony fishes. Diverse members of bony fishes that occupied different ecological niches in marine and freshwater ecosystems. The Carboniferous period was a time of significant evolutionary change, when extensive forests formed and high levels of oxygen in the atmosphere favored the development of giant insects and other invertebrates. This period was dominated by both marine and terrestrial ecosystems with diverse groups of animals, laying the foundation for the later development of life on Earth. Thank you for watching our episode to the end. Give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and click on the bell to not miss new and interesting videos from our channel.